Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
I couldn't have asked to be aligned with a better nonprofit in regards to my mission and supporting people that have gone through those mental health challenges and creating a way to empower people earlier so that they don't even have those thoughts moving forward. That is such a beautiful, beautiful mission and a vision that I want to support and help manifest into reality.
And I am ever so grateful that you are here to help us, because as we joke about me being older, you know things on how to connect on social media and Instagram and stuff that I have got no clue on. And I am perfectly okay with saying the fact that I have no clue, but I'm learning.
Yay!
And that's all that matters, is I'm learning and I'm moving forward. So anyone who actually finds the Teen Suicide Prevention Society on Instagram will see that we're actually posting weekly now. Yay! I figured it out.
That's great. And to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, I am starting to age out of the social media expertise game. Like there's, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly. I'm joking. My son's, college kids now. Amazing how quickly they are taking and evolving and advancing.
So here's the thing. I understand. I think we talked about it the last time we recorded too. I was like, there's a marketing company that I want to work with instead.
Yes.
So,
we'll pick up with the marketing company. That works.
Yeah, they're growing as well. It's very fascinating. So I love taking chances on people, right? Like that are creating new companies, as long as I know the person first. Not just like, hey, I'm at a networking event. Let's see how they do. But I don't do that.
No, there has to be that connection, the building of the relationship. And I believe we talked about the flags, green flag, red flags last time.
Those flags are real. It's like dating flags. They're very similar. You can't. Oh, I love how. All right, I'm saying this because I'm single now. It's been great. I can talk about dating now. It's good. It's awesome. It's so much freedom here. But it's really true. So the fact of the matter is, accountability has to be on both ends of the business relationship. Being able to and have time to see that before it even happens.
Yes.
Right. Understanding what sets precedent. Realizing like your relationships with the person you're working with is so vital to the process of selling anything, even if the product is like freaking incredible. If the relationship between you and the person selling it is not trustworthy,
the product doesn't mean anything,
and it won't go forward. And that's a shame if it's such a genius product.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that there's a lot of products out there and services out there that do fantastic things. However, something happens in the relationship that just leaves, for lack of a better term, a bad taste in someone's mouth. Something just doesn't sit right, feels a little bit off.
Mm-hmm.
And then even if you try to go forward, there's still that being off feeling that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like once you're off by 1 degree, the further you move forward, the further apart it gets.
The further it goes. Oh, that's a great analogy. That's so true. I feel like the moment that happens, from experience, right? People in business know 100% know. Yeah, gotta course correct. Like you have to either state what happened, ask like, hey, could we just talk about this for a second? It didn't feel right. And I don't know why, but we need to address it, resolve it, and then we can align again and keep moving forward. Right.
But it's not just in business.
Exactly.
Relationships as well. And that's the thing that at least I don't remember ever being told about course correcting in relationships.
Yeah, we don't really learn that. No, we don't. I didn't learn that one. but I definitely understood it and experienced it and saw somebody else do it and learned by osmosis.
Well, that's a benefit. And I'm
Yeah.
just learning it, I will say now, because anything within the last year qualifies as now in my world at the moment, because I'm still learning.
Well, it's funny. So when I was in corporate, I knew that. I knew that one to a T. Like I understood to do that, but I didn't do it because I was like doing it for the alignment of the relationship. I did it so that I wouldn't blow up on the person in front of me.
But that's a
Because I
good reason.
knew.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's a good reason.
Yeah, well, I knew that was a tendency of mine. So I gave him fair warning before it would happen. And I was like, hey, you got to do this. This is for your own protection. I promise you. Like we got
See, and that's not something that, I mean, yes, I spent almost 50 years in a corporate job, but it was stay in your lane and don't worry about what's going on over here. Just stay in your lane.
I get that. I think so. What was going on over here would bulldoze
So what
into
was
that
going
lane.
over here? What was going on over here would either make my job easy or would make my job difficult.
Mm.
And I was told not to worry about that. Do not provide input. Just do the best job I could with what I was given.
Ah,
And
okay.
when it comes to liability, automobile accidents, injuries, money, I kind of want to make sure that I have everything I need to argue whether I should or should not pay something. And if I don't have that and I'm not supposed to ask for it, I don't think I want to be there when the customer calls when they're upset that we lose.
Yeah, you see, I had to learn this trick in corporate America. By the way, this works everywhere. I don't care if it's in corporate America or not. Yeah, you learn your job. You know your job. Thank you very much, Alpha Media. You need to learn your job. This was the lesson I learned there. Know it to a T and understand it. But something comes with that. So I've always been in like cross portfolio, cross department types positions, right?
Right.
In order to understand how everything kind of works so that it all flows in one space and then everyone's working well together. But the fun facts about knowing your job, you also have to know what you're signing up for, right?
True.
If you are getting in the way of the mission of the company, like let's say if you're basically at conflict with the company and their mission, and I'm going to put this in the abstract block here and then we'll go into that. That's when, yes, you could get fired. And that is totally something you never signed up for, even when you took the job. Now, when you are asking questions so that you can have a better performance, so that you accomplish the mission of the company.
That is different.
Yes, that is different. You can defend yourself there. You can understand, I was asking about this, this, and that, so I could perform and meet them in a cool collaborative sense.
Yes. And the example that I gave was a singular incident.
Yes.
That just left a very bad taste in my mouth for working in corporate job, which is why after that incident, I changed positions to where my performance was based solely 100% on what I did, not what was handed on my desk.
Yeah. And there you go. Like once you can say like, hey, I'm better at this, trust me. And like, I told you, I tried, seriously, you want me here. That would make sense. I remember this time, right? I was asking questions and I was trying to help develop a system that was freaking falling apart and costing the company almost like 20 grand is the minimum amount that was costing them a month.
A month. Ooh.
Because of what was happening. Like just the whole thing was just utterly disorganized, disarrayed. Their clients were like not receiving monetary funding for their this
For
was
their
working
stuff.
for their stuff, and their checks were pretty close to like in the millions or the higher. Yeah. So when the check was lost in that degree, right? So they were losing out on so much money. So when I came in to help build a better system, and at first I did it very kindly and collaboratively, like, hey, so I just want to know what this is. Let me just, so that I can meet you where we're at, what we are responsible for, what you're responsible for, what I don't need to know about, what I do need to know about. Like, these are the things, right? At first, they were like, why are you asking all these questions? You shouldn't be asking these questions, because they were caught.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And because I could defend the point that I was actually in line with the mission of the company, so that we wouldn't lose more than $20,000 a month. The person that was not in line with the company mission and trying to thwart me at every turn was fired. If you're able to defend that you were doing what is appropriately delegated to you, and it doesn't get in the way of the operations of the rest of the company, you are in the clear.
Yes.
In regards to that, as an entrepreneur, you got to do the same thing, because if you don't, you make enemies.
Yes. And side note, as an entrepreneur, there are a lot of things in corporate that you have to let go of. And I heard a great term earlier today. It was called corporate residue.
Ew.
And it had to deal with the fact of having the corporate mindset, working a 9-to-5 job, working a W-2, and trying to bring that into an entrepreneurial world.
Never worked.
Doesn't work. That's why they coined it corporate residue. And I'm like, okay, I can understand that. I can understand that all of this, almost 14 years of my life in this business taught me some fantastic skills when it came to working on the computer, but it didn't teach me anything on how to run a business.
Yeah, I have to be grateful for the finance and accounting background that I have from CAI, to be honest.
Because you told me before they did a fantastic job educating you from the beginning.
Yes. That's a yes. Yes. They threw me into the thick of it. And I definitely learned something I never learned before without even having an accounting background. Did you know? So if you ever work in finance and accounting and you learn something like accounts payable, expenses, all of that fun stuff, revenue recognition, if you learn any of that, that is actually your first year of your master's, like MBA.
Oh, I had no clue.
I didn't either. I found that out after I talked to somebody who got their master's.
Well, look at you.
Yeah, look, I got my master's degree through the toughest freaking environment in all of Hollywood.
Through a lot of tough love. But we sometimes produce our best quality of work.
I had so much fun to be honest, I really did. Yeah. While I was working that job, that was like, we get to have fun with personalities that are not common. And like really practice knowing our stuff and being able to defend ourselves in those situations. Don't get me wrong. So like a lot of things do happen. And this is where I learned what evil eye really is.
Yes, it is a thing.
That's what half my freaking program is about. It's clearing the evil eye that's on you, that's been stored in your freaking joints. Anyways,
okay.
So
and we do need to clarify, this is not the evil eye that you get from somebody because they gave you a rotten tip when you were a waiter or a waitress. This is something completely different.
Yeah, could you explain evil eye? I looked it up the other day and I want to make sure that it's true, right? So evil eye, from what I read, is like, it's just that glare that somebody gives you either when you're looking or not looking, that just is an interesting way of passing on negative energy and cursing somebody from jealousy.
It is where someone gives you that quote unquote dirty look and you can feel it penetrate your soul.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when people do that intentionally and unintentionally, it happens. It really does. I actually accidentally gave it to somebody too. And then they were wearing one of those like evil eye protectors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea I was giving her evil eye. I thought she was cool and whatnot. And then like it's a subconscious thing, right? So I gave her accidentally evil eye. And she was wearing a protector amulet right on her chest, and it smacked right back at me. And I looked at my bank account, it was negative $100. I was like, you know,
These things do happen.
they happen.
And it's lessons that we learn.
Yeah, it taught me how to really make sure I don't do that to people. Also, another thing, people are doing it, people, when they're doing it to us, throw it at others, which is like the persistent, weird, circuitous chain of events.
It's one of those things that we did not know growing up. It just all falls into, what we did not know at that point in time. Now, what's funny is these are things that were known way back when, but they were forgotten for whatever reason.
Right. Those blue necklaces.
Yeah. There's some powerful, the amulets, the herbs, the candles, the symbols. I mean, all of it had a purpose, and that knowledge was lost, and now we're rediscovering it all over again.
Yeah, that evil eye.
That's a tricky one.
That one's really hard. Like I think I mentioned to you, and this isn't me boasting, ladies and gentlemen. This was actually a lot by accident. I ended up getting like this department head like position. It was like a training position at the age of like 24 to understand how to like not only employ my own responsibilities and understanding the power that came with it. It was really like a trial and error in building my own confidence. But that usually comes with an evil eye. Like people around my age are like, how the hell did you get that? And I'm doing my best not to give you evil eye. I'm like literally like, it does not look like that.
No, at least no. I completely understand. It is what it is. It's the same thing as to, how dare you be a mom at such a young age?
Yeah, it's like it's an insidious, like, how dare you have the courage?
Whatever.
Yeah, how dare you have the courage to be you?
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds so accurate.
that I think is better than the definition that we gave earlier.
Yes, 100%. I'm gonna show everybody what you were talking about in regards to. Oh, I love. I got new stationery. I am so happy and grateful for all the new stationery and upgrades I did. Stationery. So you were explaining the mindset, right?
Yes.
So fun facts, ladies and gentlemen. Mindset for an entrepreneur, an employee, a business owner, and an investor, all four of them are different.
They're, what was the term that I had heard? They're like different archetypes.
Yes. And you can be any of those archetypes. But you got a lot to learn.
I'm sorry, that click was like the perfect like punctuation to what you just said.
And period.
Done.
Oh, we have fun here.
But in reference to the four different types, you're absolutely right. We can be any one of them at any point in time in our lives. The difficulty is learning when we're switching and what the rules of that game is that are now in play versus are no longer in play.
100%. So this is something that one of my mentors taught me when I was moving from employee. Will it switch? Anyways, employee to business owner. Yeah.
Yeah.
To employee. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't employee. So it's employee to consultant. Then business owner. I don't know if you can see this. There's a lot
Yes,
of
we
like
can see it.
business owner. And investor. Thank you so much, David, by the way. David was the one who did this. So he taught me this when I was leaving my corporate gig to become like an influencer or something of that nature. We didn't even know exactly what my business was. We just went for it. That was the more fun part, right?
Right.
So when you're an employee, you actually receive everything you want. You get the benefits. You get the entire system around your just one function in the company is created, and you don't take any of the risk. You just receive.
Yep. You just show up, work, get the paycheck.
Yep.
And the benefits and all the other fun stuff.
Yeah. Do you know this is actually a crud ton more expensive to keep in any company?
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I've seen the projections and I've tried hiring people. I completely understand.
Yeah, more than the salary of an employee. Like an employee is almost like, with taxes and everything included, they are actually like double the amount that they're paid.
Yep, because you have to include all of the benefits
Mhm.
and the taxes and everything else like that. But then it's not just the regular benefits. You have to have like the employee assistance programs. You have to have the money set aside for bonuses and for all this other kinds of jazz and stuff. So yes, it does add up very quickly, which is why I am glad I do not have any employees at the moment.
Yeah. And the HR and all of the
Yep.
things, just everything comes into having one of these. Right. So that's one mindset. The second mindset is the consultant. So you are actually an expert in your field and you can pass on knowledge. Now you can get paid for the knowledge that you have going through the experience of being one of these. Right. Not many people do that, but they also get paid a lot more when you do this. The only thing is, not everyone has the discipline, and you don't have the protection of a company anymore. If you have
Right.
your own business insurance, that protects you protect you, all your responsibility and a little bit more risk. Then we go into the business owner space. You're taking on a lot more risk because you are liable for so much, like the operations of your company. If people get sick, like anything that happens to you and your company, you are fully responsible. You take on all that insurance. And sometimes that business, if you don't have the right discipline in place, can run you instead of you run it.
Yes.
Right.
And that's unfortunately what happens to some of these businesses that only last like maybe 5 years.
Exactly. And then you got the investors. When you have the investor mindset, you give money to something, a company, a person, whatnot, and you're investing resources, not just money, into an idea that you can take 5% or less, or even more. It depends on how you
Whatever you agree upon.
Yeah, however you Shark Tank the deal. Essentially, once you invest in a company by giving them a specific amount of funding or whatever, what you end up doing is you are helping create a system, right, that can withstand the amount of time based off on how much confidence you have in the possibility of the company going into a prosperous situation. But as an investor, you take all the risk on what you gave.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about when you said Shark Tank, because that's exactly what that show is based on, is the seeing it for somebody who never considered being an investor in my life, being able to see how that dynamic works.
Yeah. And every level that you upgrade to comes with an increased amount of risk.
But with that risk comes a reward.
100% when you take the right risk.
When you take the right risk. Right. And that's all part of the learning curve.
Yeah. So as you're going from moment to moment, you know what works and what doesn't. So
right. And that's why you look for somebody who has already done what you want to do and you hire yourself a coach, you hire yourself a mentor.
Mhm.
You know, you talk to somebody who has been there, done that, and knows their shit. So then that way you don't have the same stumbling blocks that everybody else has.
And with the right coach, the ones that really want you to never have to go through the crap they've gone through. Right here. I've gone
Yep.
through it. I don't want people that I work with to go through that ever.
Yeah.
I want them to bypass all of that. Yeah, nobody wants to be homeless for a night. Come on. Like, so this is what I coach, essentially, to help assist that process for the people that really want to go after their dreams and see like what the big mistakes are that you possibly could do.
And it's all done with love.
All with love. Because to be honest, you know, my mission, for what I've learned, I really care about people, and I really can see where like the danger signs are. Because I'm the one who probably blew through the danger sign.
You're the person who always did those California roll stops.
Oh,
Never
well,
really stopping at the stop sign, just kind of coasted through.
yeah, I didn't even stop. I just went and like honked my horns to alert anyone around me to know that I was there. Like, no. And yes, I learned very well after the crash how not to do that.
And it's all about avoiding the crash.
Well, it's knowing that it's possible so you don't do it. I think
I do think I completely agree. I do think that knowing what the worst case scenario can be, granted, we don't want to live or build our business on a bunch of contingency plans because that never works.
No,
but at least knowing what worst case scenario is, you can then build a plan and build a series of levels. So then that way you never hit that rock bottom.
100%. And I think like, so for instance, did I go through all the signs? Yeah, I did in one company. But for the thing that I was really passionate about, and this is also a big lesson, embrace who you are, what you are, and like what you love doing. Don't think it's just a hobby, to be honest. If it is something that you can do naturally, like intuitively know somebody, like for me, intuitively know when someone's hurting, I'm really gifted at that one. I know, and then I know how to support somebody through that healing. And I also know the resources that can help somebody remove or clear out the energy of that healing. That is something that I have completely embraced now.
And just as I say, be unapologetically yourself.
Exactly. When I thought I was going to build like a media studio, don't get me wrong, that's still on the table in the future, but in a different way. When I thought I was going to build that with the mindset I had at that time, without the spiritual protection that I now know, of course, it wasn't going to work. For those who are in that same space, who want to build into a CEO of a marketing company, a CEO of a production company, can I get paid their full salary to help support them through that process? Yeah. And it is more fulfilling for me than doing it myself. I did learn as an entrepreneur that when you leave that structure of a 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
do you know how much risk it is to plan your own day?
Depending on the day, it feels like a lot of risk.
Sometimes you can get nothing done. Sometimes you can get everything done. Sometimes you can burn yourself out. It is such an interesting upgrade. And I had to learn that through 2 life coaches. I had 2 life coaches help me design my day and my own understanding of myself. Like, will I be able to make a meeting at 9 a.m.?
Me either. I am not a morning person anymore.
Did I try and fail?
Yes.
Okay, all meetings start at 11:30.
And I have to laugh at that one because when I last worked, I worked from 6 o'clock in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon. And the reason was so then that way I could be home when my son got home from school. And I missed all of rush hour in the morning. I missed all of rush hour in the afternoon. I mean, for me, it worked out really well. Needless to say, I am not getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning anymore if I don't have to.
I used to really like waking up at 3:30. I know this is gonna
There are times it's absolutely fantastic waking up that early because the rest of the world is asleep.
exactly.
And
you
it's the quiet. There's so much that you can actually get done during that time, but you have to be willing to get up and do it.
and you can't go to sleep late. Like 3:30.
Yeah, don't be staying up till midnight if you got to get up at 3:30 in the morning.
Exactly. I remember after my second media studio attempt, don't get me wrong, like I said, in the future, I realized it wasn't the right time. So 3:30, I loved, like right after that, when I was, full force going into personal development, I was actually doing the media studio stuff because I knew it, I understood it. But it didn't make me happy. It actually made me really angry. As Katie has witnessed, because I was actually rejecting myself. I was rejecting who I truly was. Like, I love motivating and encouraging people. And then when it was scary and I didn't know how to do it, there was a point where I was just like, nah, I got to just accept it and go full force. And when I did, that's when I would go to bed at 8, wake up at 3:30, chant like 3 hours. I love chanting 3:30 to 6:30, 6:45. I would go on a hike. Like, I had this routine down. 6:45, I would go on a hike because I lived right next to Runyon. And 6:45 to like around 7:30, I would go home, shower, clean my room, my space, and then get ready for the workday. Maybe get on an 8 a.m. religious meeting. And then after that, just like do my my business pregame. So that I'm going to coin that one. It is a so essentially you're writing your affirmations out. You're writing, like, you do your daily routine of
your self-care.
Your self-care. Like, you're doing you're listening to your life script, or you're writing down the 10 gratitudes to get you into that zone. You're writing the day before. You should have written down your goals, actually.
And your meditations and what I do, active gratitude. And, we have to make sure that we get the discipline, before working a 9 to 5. Get up, get breakfast, have coffee, get in the car, drive, show up to work on time. Okay, well, now instead of just get up, get breakfast, have coffee, meditate, positive prime, do whatever checklist I have for first thing in the morning before I get into emails and text messages and WhatsApp messages and Instagram and all this other stuff. Because once I open that, I'm like not going to have time for my meditation and my positive prime and all the other stuff that I do for myself.
Exactly. It's funny enough, and I know some people do this and some people don't. I actually don't check my email until 11:15 a.m.
Yeah, for me, it's noon.
For good reason. Like, it's that morning needs to be very steadily fortified. And at the same time, like, all right, so this was on my own. I remember I loved waking up at 3:30. Then I dated somebody that did not wake up at 3:30. They woke up at like 10 or 11. And I was just like, ugh, because it really did set me off.
Like, half the day is gone at that point.
Oh, it was so awful. It was so bad. Like, I remember all of that, and like, appreciate the lesson there, and make sure you date somebody who's an early riser. Like, it just lifestyles have to match. They really do. Having the discipline to understand, and the boundaries and standards to realize, like, that life isn't going to work. If you love waking up early.
And if you don't love waking up early, that's perfectly okay too.
It's fine. Just, you might want to be with somebody who does the same thing.
Yeah. Or at least is close enough that it's not going to cause fractures in communication. For example, my husband's normally up a good 2 hours before I am. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. Because he gets up, he does his thing, and then he falls asleep on the living room couch until I get up.
And that's perfectly fine.
And that's perfectly fine too. It's whatever works for you in whatever relationship you're in.
100%. Also, like, if you're waking up early to have your own alone time, right? Make sure the partner you're with as well is doing the same thing so that you both can do your alone time in separate parts of the house.
Or you could do what I do. Sunday morning, I have my alone time. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. My husband's still asleep. I say goodbye. I get in my car and I leave. Now, I could just go to Dunkin' Donuts, get myself a cup of coffee, and then drive over to a park and ride and sit in my car and read for 4 hours. Because I'm away from the computers and the phone, and it's early enough in the morning that nobody's calling me, and because everyone knows don't call me before 10. So, I have this bubble of time, and it's me just getting away from everything that's going on here. By the time I'm coming home, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I might be picking up breakfast for my husband and my son. So then that way we have breakfast as a family and we get in the door. Yeah. And that works because I take my me time away from the house.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.